Paratmanamekam jagadbijamadyam niriham nirakaram onkara vidyam yato jayate palyate yena vishvam tamisham bhaje liyate yatra vishvam. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. My Sashtanga pranams to most revered Swami Gautamananda Ji Maharaj. My pranams to revered Swami Satyadevananda Ji Maharaj, to Swami Tyagananda Ji Maharaj, Nikhileshwarananda Ji Maharaj, Muktinathananda Ji Maharaj, Nityasthananda Ji Maharaj, and all the elder Swamis assembled here. And my namaskars to Sri Chidambaram Ji, seated on the dais, and my namaskars and good wishes to all of you, dear devotees, admirers, and friends. This has been indeed a very grand and an august gathering in every sense of the term. A grandiose which actually, I feel, which befits the city of Mumbai and Mumbaikars. Today, we are celebrating this 100th year of the Ramakrishna Mutt and Ramakrishna Mission Center in Mumbai. And it is a very proud moment for all of us. The Ramakrishna Mission has been celebrating its 25th anniversary. Many other centers too have celebrated their 125th anniversary. Recently, Chennai had that celebration. Interestingly, next year, Advaita Ashrama is going to celebrate its 125th anniversary at Mayavati. So we have a series of celebrations here now. And it's a very proud moment for everyone who belongs to this family of Ramakrishna and Ramakrishna Bhavatara. This is an important milestone in the journey of Ramakrishna Bhavatara, and it has to go a long way now. It is just the beginning, actually speaking. And when I think about this foundation of this wonderful center in Mumbai, Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission Center in Mumbai, a thing which attracted my attention when I was just wondering what should I speak to this august audience. Many things were coming to my mind, wonderful talks we listened a little while ago. So a notable point which I felt which should be stressed upon, that is, this center was founded on the auspicious day of Akshaya Tritiya. 100 years ago, in 1923, this great center was founded on the day of Akshaya Tritiya. What do we mean by Akshaya? Something which is undepleting, which does not get depleted, something which is undiminishing, something which is inexhaustible, something which is undying. We all know that wonderful story from the Mahabharata where Draupadi gets that Akshaya Patra, and with the help of that Akshaya Patra, she is able to feed all the sages, Durvasa and the large number of sages who had gathered in her house. So this idea of something being inexhaustible is very interesting. If you just see, this Mumbai city itself has got this quality of having something, endowed with something which is inexhaustible. We all know the city, the bubbling energy that we see in this wonderful city of Mumbai, it is almost inexhaustible. We all know that the city of Mumbai is the financial powerhouse of this country, an inexhaustible powerhouse. The quantum of wealth which it generates and contributes to the national GDP is something simply astounding. We all know that. Another one important point which comes to my mind is, which is the point which I would like to especially stress, and that is that in this city we find an undying spirit and capacity to welcome and accommodate people from all parts of the country, speaking different languages, coming from different background, coming from different faith systems, and the city welcomes everyone and makes them live like one family. This is a wonderful trait which I would like to stress. It is an inexhaustible spirit of the city which makes this wonderful phenomenon literally a living phenomenon. If you just go into any of the residential buildings in Mumbai, you will see that that single building is actually speaking a mini India. If you go to a school and visit a classroom, you will see that classroom is actually speaking a mini India. Punjab, Sindh, Gujarat, Maratha, Dravida, Utkala, Banga, everyone you will find in that classroom. And all the children, they grow up together as if they are one. Now this inexhaustible spirit which we find in this great city, this is also one of the striking features of our great motherland, India. There is something inexhaustible about India herself. What is that? We all know that throughout the history of the human race, India has been the spiritual powerhouse for the entire world, and this spiritual energy which India possesses is literally akshaya. It is inexhaustible. From time to time, whenever the humanity has needed it, the spiritual energy from this great motherland India has gone out and deeply impacted human beings living at different corners of this globe. Another one point which is very noteworthy as far as India is concerned, and that is India's inexhaustible capacity to take the whole world in one embrace as if it is one family. We all know this. For ages, India has been the land where people from all the corners of the world have come with different intentions, good and bad. But somehow, this is that culture, that civilization which has got an inexhaustible akshaya, an energy which is inexhaustible, through which it absorbs all those people coming from outside. Everything gets absorbed into this mother culture, the mother civilization, and the mother ideology. Now, when I think about this wonderful capacity, I am reminded about some words of Swami Vivekananda. Swamiji says, please take note of these wonderful words, it's very important. Swamiji says that for a complete civilization, the world is waiting. Mark the words. He is speaking, he is saying that for a complete civilization, the world is waiting. The world is waiting for the treasures to come out of India. The world is waiting for the marvelous spiritual inheritance of this land, India, the great spiritual inheritance which has been left behind by our forefathers. The world is hungering for it, thirsting for it, waiting to get a few sips of this great nectar which our forefathers have left behind and which has been preserved for ages. Now, what is this spiritual treasure which Swami Vivekananda is talking about? It's a very important point. This spiritual treasure, which is inexhaustible, which is undying, and that is what makes India undying and immortal. What is that? Swami Vivekananda is actually referring to the great system of thought of the Vedas. It is this Vedic system of thought which is going to, really speaking, bring about a new civilization which Swami Vivekananda was envisioning in his mind. What are the unique points of this great Vedic civilization, which today is known as Hindu, Sanatana Dharma? The Swamiji says, the speciality of this Vedic Sanatana Dharma is what? It teaches that at the core of this creation is divinity. Everything is divine. Every man, every woman, every living creature is divine. Divinity, the thread of divinity runs through everything in this creation, and therefore everything is worshipable. Everything is sacred. Nothing is profane here. Everything is divine. And this divinity, which the Vedas talk about, it is something which we can experience. It is not a matter of belief. And this divinity can be approached by any number of ways. It can be approached by any number of ways. Now, in this respect, Swamiji says, the greatest teaching that has gone out of India in that hoary past, that sentence which has influenced the Indian culture and civilization, that sentence is something wonderful. At a time when the entire world has been fighting over your God and my God, we find in history in Middle East, all the different tribes having their own tribal gods, and every tribe is fighting with the other tribe over the question of my God is the true God and your God is the false God. This tribal mentality, when the whole world has been clutched by this tribal mentality, here on the lap of the Himalayas, maybe on the banks of Indus or maybe on the banks of Saraswati, one rishi stands up and he proclaims to the entire humanity the greatest utterance which has ever been made in the history of the human race. And that utterance is, truth is one. Sages call it variously. Ekam sat, vipra bahudha vananti. Swami Vivekananda says this great utterance, if you just look into the history of India, the history of India can be described as the repeated striving of the people here to put this great principle into practice. Literally speaking, this is the only land where this truth has been practiced to such an extent that it has gone into the very blood stream of this country. It has become the national trait and the national characteristic of this great land. And Swami Vivekananda says this great Hindu race, India, it is here and here alone this great truth has been put into practice, and that is the reason why we have this undying, undiminishing capacity to take the entire world in a warm embrace as if it is one family. The idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This comes from this idea of divinity which the Vedic literature or the Vedic system of thought preaches to the entire human race. Interestingly, it's very interesting, I should point this to this audience. That is, very contrastingly, the simple truth, that truth is one, divinity is one. We can call it by any names, doesn't matter. This simple truth, the world has not learnt even today. The simple truth the world has not learnt even today. Even today it's a fight between my God and your God, my conception of God and your conception of God. Whereas this is the land in India where this issue was put to rest long back. And this is the only society where very naturally we don't feel that somebody is a stranger. This Hindu society, the Indian society, where it's so spontaneous for us to see everybody as one, belonging to one family. It is one divinity which is expressing in the forms of so many life forms expressing here. Now, this is the great ideology which is the world is waiting to receive. As Swamiji said, for a complete civilization, the world is waiting. World is waiting for the treasures to come out of India and teach the entire human race. For this, Vivekananda's wonderful idea then comes. Swamiji says, therefore, the one ambition of my life is to set in motion a missionary which will carry noble ideas to the doors of everybody, and then let men and women settle their own fate. The beautiful vision which Vivekananda had that was his one ambition of his life, to set in motion a missionary. Now, what is that missionary? This Ramakrishna mission is that wonderful, amazing missionary which has been instituted and initiated by this Yugacharya Swami Vivekananda for carrying these noble ideas, the universal scientific ideas, to the door of everybody in the world, and then let men and women decide their own fate. Swami Vivekananda wanted what our forefathers had thought about the most momentous questions about life. Now, this is the great role which Ramakrishna Mission has been playing for the last 125 years or more, and it has got a long way to go. So what I would like to, before I conclude, I want to specially emphasize this point is that this Ramakrishna Mission or Ramakrishna Bhavdhara or this Ramakrishna movement, which is working in the form of so many centers in India and all over the world, this Bhavdhara is a rare spiritual phenomenon. It is not a sect. Sri Ramakrishna didn't come to found a new religion. Let us make this point very clear. Sri Ramakrishna came to capture the ideological ambience of the Vedic times and bring it back to our own times for the well-being of the entire human race. That's why we need to understand that this Ramakrishna movement, it is not a new religion. It is the recapturing of the ideological ambience of our forefathers who had kept the universal principles for the welfare of the entire humanity. So this is a very special spiritual phenomenon. I want to stress this point again and again. It is not a sect. In fact, I personally always, when I think about it, I feel that it is not easy to get associated with this Bhavdhara, because to be associated with this Bhavdhara means to be freed from all narrowness, to be freed from all sectarianism, to be freed from all fanaticism, to be freed from all dogmatism. That is the meaning of being associated with this great Bhavdhara. That's why it's not easy, because the natural human tendency, the flow of the human mind is always to go towards sectarianism, dogmatism, fanaticism, narrow lanes it hold on to. So, to be in touch with this Bhavdhara, to have devotion to this Bhavdhara, to be connected with Ramakrishna Mission, and to become fully identified with this great mission, I feel it is possible only by Sri Ramakrishna's grace. And that's why all the devotees assembled here, before I conclude, I would like to make you all feel that this wonderful family which I am seeing here, the family of monks as well as the lay people, here as well as all over the world, those who have subscribed to this wonderful universal Bhavdhara, we should understand that we are indeed very fortunate and blessed, because this Ramakrishna Bhavdhara is the rarest spiritual phenomenon of the modern times, and it has got a significant role to play to build a new civilization which Vivekananda had envisioned. In 1896, a point which comes to my mind now, Swamiji had spoken about giving a new civilization to the world. I just wonder, what do you mean by a new civilization? What do you mean by an incomplete civilization? Vivekananda says, for a complete civilization, the world is waiting. That means this civilization we have today, it's not complete. What is that thing which is going to make this civilization complete? It is this material civilization. Unless it gets the basis of spirituality, it is going to remain incomplete. And this task of providing spiritual basis to this material civilization is going to be done by India and India alone, by its universal scientific spiritual principles, the Vedic principles, of which Ramakrishna was a living embodiment. That is why we describe Sri Ramakrishna as Vedamurti. He is the Vedamurti. He is the modern embodiment of all that Hindu Sanatana Dharma or the Vedic system of thought actually teaches to the entire human race. So once again, I thank Swami Shuddhidananda for having given me this wonderful opportunity. I'm very fortunate to be a part of this very important milestone event, which has been so beautifully organized by Maharaj, and it will always be a very cherished memory for me to think that in this 100th year of this Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission Center in Mumbai, I was a speaker and I could address this very august gathering. Thank you. Namaskar.